Be they acrylic, polyurethane, Vegemite, or whatever the state of the technology is this week, are the primary protection system in any watercraft against corrosion and rot. We've been smearing schmutz on the outside of boats since the days when pine pitch was pinched out by pounding copper. The coating system on your boat serves the same function as your skin, a protective boundary between the dangers of the filthy, dangerous environment outside your body from the filthy, dangerous environment inside your body. The main difference between the two is which side you typically want to keep the wetness on. Water and time are the death of all boats. Water, especially salt water, makes metals corrode through not only oxidation, but galvanic corrosion as well. Water permeates wood, creating a home for bacteria, fungi, and parasites. Water blisters paint and fiberglass. The relentless forces of water and time can never be stopped completely, and all boats are temporary entities because of this simple fact. For this little boat, I've already treated the hull decently enough. The metallic hull of the boat is made from simple aluminum. I gave it a coat of flat primer on the inside because that will keep the reflected sunlight to a minimum and prevent glare inside the boat. This is an often overlooked step, but it doesn't take a lot of work and it makes a huge difference. Don't put highly reflective surfaces in places where they will annoy you while you're out on the boat. You'd be amazed how many boats are gleaming mirrors all over the place out in the sun. They can really suck to try and pilot. There's a reason you don't see chrome dashboards. The outside of the hull just got some simple Rustoleum spray paint. $5 a can, and it's lasted for 6 years without issue. I just used a simple blue for above the waterline, purely for aesthetic purposes. Below the waterline, it's nothing but a bare aluminum hull. The original paint was buffed right off, just as an experiment. Most people think aluminum doesn't rust. The truth is quite the opposite. Kinda. Aluminum oxidizes instantly. However, when iron corrodes, it forms rust. The chemical name for rust is iron oxide. The problem with iron oxide is that it's completely permeable to air and water, so the process just continues deeper and deeper into the base metal. Aluminum also corrodes in the presence of oxygen, but aluminum oxide is very different. Aluminum gets completely covered in a layer of aluminum oxide almost instantly, much faster than iron's oxidation rate, and the layer of aluminum oxide forms a waterproof, airproof, hard candy shell that is tough as nails and ungodly hard. Not only is aluminum oxide harder than steel, it's very frequently used as an abrasive to cut steel. Read the back of a piece of sandpaper sometime, and you'll frequently find it's made from aluminum oxide. When aluminum oxide occurs in big chunks in nature, we call it corundum. If corundum happens to be mixed with a little bit of chromium, the resulting crystals are dug up and sold for piles of money. Most people call them rubies. A slightly different mixture of impure corundum is called sapphire. All of these are just nothing more than different impurities in corroded aluminum. If you think boats are a stupid waste of money, you should see what people pay for shiny rocks. Even unpainted, the bare outer aluminum hull of my boat should last just fine for any reasonable lifespan, so I'm just leaving that one alone unless it someday becomes a problem. Besides, I can honestly say my little boat is coated in a sapphire shell. Of course, it's invisible, only a few molecules thick, but it's there. The real concern for water damage is all this plywood I've put everywhere. Plywood, even when it's marine grade, is a delicate sponge of organic material. The best example I can give you for learning just how important it is to thoroughly apply layers of a protective coating to a piece of plywood is to simply let you give it a go and see what happens to that first coat. In this boat, I'm using a Minwax polyurethane, and the first coat simply vanishes instantly. No matter how thick you think you put it on, it's going to soak right into the pores of the wood and be practically dry in just a few minutes, ready for the second coat. With polyurethane, that's excellent. But if you hadn't coated this, and it did that with water, well, now your problems are just beginning. Amy applied the first coat on most of these pieces while I was building the boxes in the basement workshop. But I was on my own for the second, third, and in some places, fourth coats. None of this will ever really be seen, so I'm not worried at all about any aesthetic aspects. My entire focus is to seal and protect this from rot to the best of my ability and budget. So, slather it on and soak it to the core. By the way, the little orange triangles are called painter's pyramids. There's a few different companies that make them, and you can find a link in the description. I use the hell out of these for coating and gluing projects. You'll even see them used as insulating stands sometimes in my high voltage videos. They're pennies a piece, and every workshop should have a few dozen. For doing poly like this, I just set the panels and boxes on a few triangles and rolled it on with a 3/8" microfiber roller. A little 6" sausage-style roller is plenty big and doesn't waste materials. The only prep I did at all was to wipe them down with a tack cloth and just have at it. The only mistake I made in the whole thing was I should have swept the garage floor really well before I started. That would have made it a bit easier. But despite the heat and the mosquitoes, the process went well and was done in just a few days. I enjoy projects that have a big, radical visual display of progress. This was pretty rewarding. Now, just wait until you get to see all these pieces come together. But that's a story for another episode. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you and a few minutes of your attention. Have fun, make something awesome, and I'll see you next time.